Hi there, this is Michael Becker, and in this lesson at Tinderbox, we're going to take a step back and deconstruct a lesson that has already been provided. Back in 2019, Mark Bernstein did a really wonderful video on how to use Tinderbox for event planning, and it's exceptional, but it is missing the how-to elements of it. Unless you know Tinderbox, it can be kind of confusing of like, I love what you're doing there, Mark, but I'm not sure exactly how to do it. And Prashant and I have been toying around with this idea in the forum of kind of digging into Mark's video a little bit more. And I took it upon myself this morning to provide a deconstruction video or training on that, how to plan with Tinderbox training. So here you go. So let's go ahead and show you. This is Mark's video. So if you go to the forum and you go to see the planning with Tinderbox video, you can get a really good sense of Mark's vision and sense of what he's doing here. And it's an absolutely wonderful video. Now what I want to do though is take a few minutes and share with you how he did it and go beyond that. So I'm going to go ahead and click new, and we're going to create a brand new Tinderbox file here. Now, what I'm going to do real quick is I'm going to create some prototypes first. So let's start out with some prototypes, and we'll create a person prototype to begin with. And I always like to have my code prototype handy as I've discussed in other videos. It's really useful to be able to write code in action code in the code note text fields, etc. So we've got our prototype ready to go. Now what we want to do is we want to dig into Mark's two primary examples. One was the simplified method of planning an event, and the other one was a more advanced multi-dimensional method of planning an event. Now, I could just start doing that right on the root folder right now, but as is often the case in Tinderbox, there's a saying in Tinderbox land: friends don't let friends build their Tinderbox on the root map view. The reason for that is if you build everything on this root map view, you can do it, but then your file becomes unmanageable. It could potentially start slowing down, and it's really hard to run and generate reports off of sub elements of your Tinderbox file. So what we're going to do is we're just going to first start with an initial folder, and we'll call it draft event. Okay, and in order to turn this into a container, we'll just create another note, and we'll drop that right in there. So we've got this event called draft event. Now let's dig in here. We don't need this extra note here because the container is already created, so we can go ahead and delete it. And I'm now going to create an adornment. So an adornment is this wonderful utility that we have on map view to be able to do add-on functions and bring and collect notes of similar concepts and ideas. It's an idea called smart adornments. Again, you can look at other videos and look at the ATref reference to learn more about that. But again, the purpose of this video is to deconstruct Mark's planning video. So what Mark was doing here in this video, it was helping us get a sense of how you could do some high-level planning. So I've created an adornment, which essentially is this element on map view, and we'll call it the event. Okay. Now here is a table view. So what the table view allows me to do is basically turn the adornment into a grid. So let's say our grid has 6 rows and 6 columns, and we're going to have labels in that columns like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And let's call this 6-1 main stage. Okay, and we want our label sizes to be a bit bigger. Whoops, I deleted it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and main stage. Okay, now we also want to change the color. We don't want it to be white. Let's have it be gray. And there you go. Now we've basically mapped out a color scheme for this adornment. And now what we can do is just start organizing our thoughts. So let's say these are times. So let's say our event's going to start at 10 o'clock. And let's give that a little shape so I'll make it easier to see. So there's a shape. Okay. And we can then make the next block of time. And so essentially what you're seeing me do here is effectively create a just a high-level visual of a quick and dirty mapping of an event. All right, and then we'll go ahead and make that 12. And so based on what you're seeing me do here, what I've effectively done is said, we've got an event starting at 10 o'clock, and it will last for 2.5 hours in 30-minute blocks. And now what we want to do for managing our event is to quickly kind of start organizing the way the show is going to work. So let's say, our opening keynote is going to be here from Mark Bernstein. Okay, so there's our opening keynote from Mark Bernstein, and we can go ahead and make that like that. And now, and because we don't want anyone else, we want everyone in the we want everyone in the event gonna go see Mark. So let's put a block out time, and we'll block all of this out in our event planning. We'll hit Command 1 to pull up our document inspector, and I'm going to go ahead and quickly change that color to red. So now we see, okay, so this is our event's now starting to come together. Our keynote's at 10 o'clock on the main stage, and we're going to block it out. Now what we can do is say, now what else do we want to have? So let's copy this one. Let's say we have a 1-hour workshop over here at this part of the session. Whoops, we didn't want to do that. And this workshop is going to be on note-taking. Okay, so this is a note-taking workshop. Okay, and we could say this this session will be on note-taking. On note, let's spell things right. Note-taking. Okay. All right. So now we've got a 1-hour session over here on note-taking. Now let's say, why don't we close out the day over here? We're going to have Mark A and Mark B have a fireside chat. And actually, let's do that fireside chat on the main stage, and we're going to bring everybody back. So everything else is going to be closed out at this time here too. Maybe we're going to have me do some lessons. Yeah, we'll do some training. Let's say at this session here. Whoops, come on. Okay, so effectively what you're seeing here is, Michael Becker will do training on Tinderbox. And then in the fireside chat, Mark A and Mark B will have a fireside chat about hypertext and the future. Okay, so essentially we're just rapidly pulling together in a very quick kind of way oops, let me hit undo, bring that out, brainstorming idea. So we can easily kind of see what gaps we have on our agenda, where we possibly want to add speakers. Maybe what we say here is the 10 o'clock time frame is opening keynote. The 11 top time frame is workshops. And the 12 o'clock to 12:30 time frame is closing keynote, right? So the beautiful thing about Tinderbox, like we could do this in PowerPoint. We could do this kind of visual tool in a mind mapping tool. We could do it in a whole bunch of different ways. But what's wonderful about Tinderbox is, now watch this. I'm going to go ahead and add in my HTML templates into this folder. I'm now going to also hit Option Command T and open up my views. Now watch what happens. I've got this wonderful map of what my event's going to look like. But now if I go take a look in outline view, grab top level event, and then go over and let's turn on our show text pane inspector and hit preview. I also have a write-up of the event, right? So at 10 o'clock, we have the opening keynote. Oh, and we can let's reorganize it too. So our outline is more along the lines of what we want here. And so we're going to have a block out session there. And we have Mark Bernstein here. Oops. Okay, and so now if we go back and look at our map view, whoops. Okay, you'll see that we've got our event, and it's organized. If we want to look at an outline view, we can. If we want to look at the publishing of the program. So not only are we creating and blocking out and planning the event, we're also writing the description about the event and all of the details that we may need to have about that event. Likewise, for example, we could be putting elements here too, like the type of speaker this person is, or are they getting paid or not. So there's just all of these different elements that you can be organizing and putting together for your event. So that's one high level way of event planning that Mark was showing us in the previous planning video. The next thing that Mark was showing us was a more detailed view of how to go about doing this. And so let me show you that. Okay, now that we've done the draft event, or what we'll call the simplified planning method, let's take a look at the detailed planning method that Mark had taught us in his Planning with Tinderbox lesson as well. But before I do that, I want to talk a little bit about the XY positioning of map view. So as we know, you've got an x-axis going horizontally and you've got a y-axis going vertically. As in typical fashion, x-axis is positive to the right and negative to the left, and y-axis is reversed in Tinderbox. Typically, your y-axis is positive up and negative down. Tinderbox does the opposite, and you can read in the ATB ref and the logic around that, but I can demonstrate it for you really quickly. So let's go ahead and say we create a note called 0, 0. So this note is going to be our 0, 0 axis, and we'll say Xpos and Ypos. All right, Ypos. So we're just going to show you the positioning of the notes. Xpos, Ypos. All right, there we go. Okay, and we're going to go ahead and set the position to 0 and 0. So essentially what this now is saying is this note is at the 0, 0 point of a particular position within the XY axis. Now what we'll go ahead is copy that note, and you'll see now our X position is in 3.5 and 0. If we go slightly to the left of that, you'll see, as would be expected, our X position is now negative 3.0. Now, if we go up and down, we'll go ahead and show you that. So if we go here, you'll see our X position stays 0, but now our Y has gone negative going up. So in this case, just so for the purposes of our demo, we've got negative 2, 7. And then if we go, whoops, and let's do it right for the math. This is 0. And this is negative 2.7. And then if we go down here, we'll see this is 0, and this is positive 2.7. All right, so you can see here that's how our notes are organized and the way the Tinderbox mapping works. And so Tinderbox is just this giant virtual landscape, and it uses this numerical mapping methodology to determine where your notes go. Let's go ahead and copy another note. We'll call this one note. Now watch what happens. If I copy a note and I hit paste, it pastes a note right to the left. And you see now our X coordinates are going as it's automatically pasting notes to the right and left. Likewise, if I copy here, now let go, it's going to paste the next one down and slightly to the right. And then it will go to the right. And then if I do that again, down and slightly to the right. So you can see now this is how Tinderbox organizes its map view. So when we're on root folder, everything's in root. When you're inside another container, it effectively creates a new kind of world map view, and the top left of the map view is going to be your 0, 0, and everything's going to move down from there. So let me go ahead and we'll create a new file. We'll call the one detail planning view. Okay, so we've got a note called detail planning view, and now I'm going to click in here, drop this in so we can create a container like we did. Oops, come on. Create a container like we did before, and now we're going to click into our detail planning view note. Okay, and just to do our experiment a little bit, let's just do our Xpos and Ypos again, and you can see that we can set this note to 0, 0, and effectively from the view of Tinderbox, this is the top left corner of the note right here. And then anything to the left, up, 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 and to the left is negative y up and negative x out this way. And anything this way is going to be positive x and negative and positive y. So that's the way the map view works. So now let's reconstruct what Mark had done in the Tinderbox file. So we're first going to start creating an adornment. And what Mark was thinking about when he was doing the demonstration was he was considering, like, let's put on a concert. And that concert's going to have multiple venues, like venue 1 and venue 2. That concert will, and there will be multiple time slots that for each one of those venues, and what he called slots. So, and his thinking was that a singer would get up on stage, sing 2 songs for 3 minutes each, and then have a 4-minute break, and then there would be a 4-minute break between the next singer. So we'll call this slot. Just call it 1 for slot 1. So this is what he was thinking about when he was doing that. And in the demonstration, which is not really clear, you can see that, you know, we can have different sizes of the slots. So maybe I can, you know, make this one a little bigger just to show you the differences here. You know, and so let's call that slot 2, and then you got venue 2, and I can paste it over here, and I got venue 3. And so I'm adding in my various venue element adornments, which is really cool, and it works. But the challenge is we don't want to spend a lot of time manually getting all of these things aligned perfectly and making it pretty. What we want to do is have Tinderbox do the work for us. And so that's where the XY positioning stuff comes in line with what Mark was showing us within the training. So let me go ahead and show you how to apply that. Now, I'm going to create a prototype. And so let's create a prototype for venue. And what we want to do is go over here, and first we're going to make that a prototype. And as we've talked about in the prototype lesson, prototypes can be anywhere in your file. They don't have to be in the prototype folder. It's really up to you. So I've now created a prototype called venue. And what I want to do now is go over, and let's say I want it to be bright blue. Okay, and just to show you that the prototype works, we're going to assign that prototype to all the notes that are prototypes. So there, every one of those attributes now is the prototype of venue. Now what we want to do is we want to apply a rule. And so we're going to go ahead and create a rule, and we don't want the rule to apply to the prototype. We want the rule to apply to all of its notes. So we're going to click this the enabled button for the prototype. So this doesn't, and then we can start making the prototype work. So let's go ahead and say we want the height of every one of our venues to be 5, an increment of 5, and a width of 125. And let's just stop there and show you how that works really quick. So we've got height is 5 and venue is 125. We hit enter, and you'll see that all of our prototypes are now going to automatically take on that height and width that we've just specified. Now what we want to do is go back to our prototype and have our notes take on the right positioning that we want them to have within our map. So what we want all of our venues to be aligned along the x-axis. So we'll have the x position equal 0. And then what we want to have is a little bit of spread between them, and the way we're going to go about doing that, and let's just go ahead and let's run that rule real quick. And so you're going to now see they're all going to get the x position in 0. And now so they're all taking on the x position of 0 right now. You see how they all just moved. Now what we want to do is to add some math so that there is a buffer in between each one of them. And so the way Mark proposed doing that in his demonstration, actually we'll do it over here in the venue, is we'll first create an attribute, and we'll call that attribute venue. Okay, and we've now created it, and we want the venue to be a number. So when you start doing math against strings, it gets really wonky, and it took me a little while to debug that while I was preparing for this demonstration. So suffice it to say, you know, when you're doing math, you want numbers calculating against numbers. So we're going to make venue a number, and now we're going to go back to our attribute here, our prototype here, and we're going to say the y position, because now what we want to do is calculate the y position. We're going to say the y position for our venues is going to be ypos, so y position and that's going to equal 6 times the venue number. Okay, and so right now all of our venues have the venue number of 0, and so what's going to happen is they're all going to clomb on top of each other, because essentially what we're saying is make the Y position equal to 6 times 0. And again, we need to have the $sign there, and put our semicolon. So when I hit enter this in, you're going to see when I go over here, and that rule applies to all of those notes, they've all clumped right onto each other because now the Y position is 0. Now what we can do is just go and update the attribute number there, and you'll all see that they'll automatically move themselves to accommodate for the positioning math that we've just suggested. Now in Mark's demo, he had 6 venues. So let's go ahead and create, we'll copy and paste number 3 times because they all have the same elements. We'll make this one number 4, and we'll make it position 4, and it will move itself. We'll make this one number 5, and we'll make this one position 5, and it will move itself. And we'll make this second one number 6 and position 6, and it will move itself. Okay, so there you go. You have now 6 venues, venue 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 for our event planning. Okay, so now that we have our venues ready to go, we need to create our slots, so basically the spots where the singers will sing. So let's go ahead and create those first. So we've got Adornment 1 for slot number 1. We've got number 2, okay, and you can see we can have these be anywhere we want, and number 3, right? And so we've got our slots oriented that way. So let's go ahead now and create our slot prototype. We'll make this note a prototype, okay, and we need to create a user attribute slot. So let's go ahead and create a user attribute and call it slot. All right, and we'll make that a number. Okay, and we're going to now add that slot to the slot prototype. So now we've got the slot prototype just like we did before. And now what we want to do is add its edict so that it organizes and moves the slots around properly. So like before, we're going to disable that, and we're going to type height, and we'll do this one in steps so you can see it working too. Equals 60. Okay, and we'll say width equals 5. And again, we'll put our $sign there, and we will hit enter to enable that. And so now we can go over here and apply that to our notes, and you'll see they've all taken on the height and the width of what we wanted to have the slots. And then similar to what we did before with the venues, let's go ahead and move them around. So what we want our X position, let's say Xpos, to equal 10 plus 6 times the slot number. And then we want our Y position to be slightly off, so there's a buffer in between each one. So we'll say Ypos equals -3. All right, so what that means is the notes will be slightly moved up, so that that's the -3 going negatively up the y-axis, and then they'll be spread across the x-axis with 10 times their slot ID number. So we'll go ahead and hit enter. Okay, and you'll now see they all converge together and on top of each other because their slot number is negative. So let's go ahead and we'll call this one number 3. We'll call that one 3, and it will move. We'll call this one 2, and we'll fix the numbers in just a minute. All right, and we'll make this one number 1. Okay, and we can then go ahead and create the other ones along the lines of what Mark had done before. So here we'll go number 3. We'll make so what I just did was copy a bunch of them. So let's get their numbers right first. 4, so 4 is going to move, and now we're going to say 5. 5 is going to move, and we'll say 6, and make this one 6 before it moves. And this one will be 7, 7. Have it move. Make it 8, 8. Have it move. And so you've seen the wonderful power of Tinderbox because it's basically doing all of the work for us. And now it could be, as you're learning this, it could feel a little tedious and you're like, why am I doing so much work right now? Well, the reality is that once you figure this out, it really will speed up all your work down the road. So let's just got a few more. Again, I'm just trying to academically be perfectly aligned with Mark's original demo. And we'll go 12, 12. I think he had 15 slots. That's right. Okay, we're almost done. 12, 13, 13. Okay, and we have now 13 slots, and let's get 2 more. 2 more. 14, 14, and 15. 15. Okay, so now we've got basically what Mark had organized in the demo. You've got 6 venues with 15 potential speaking slots. Okay, we're in the home stretch now. So now that we've got our venue set up and our slot set up, we now want to be able to drag our speakers onto the program planning so that we can manage the overall program. So let's go ahead and do that. And what we're going to do is we're going to add on-add functions to each of the prototypes. So we'll go here on add. All right, and I typed this earlier. Oops, so I didn't type it earlier. I thought I did. So we'll go slot equals, and we'll say slot adornment, and then I'll explain that in just a second. And we'll go to venue, click on venue, and we'll do the same thing with venue. We'll say, come on, let me get a hold of this. Make my file a little bigger so my computer can get a hold of it. There we go. And we'll say on add. And I did it again. This time we're going to say venue equals venue adornment. Okay, now let me tell you what's happening here. So what's going to happen is when we drag a singer onto the planning session, it's going to essentially add the value of the adornment, the value for venue on the adornment to the value of that note. And likewise, same thing for slots. So let me go ahead and let's say I'm a singer, which by the way, I'm not in any way slight. So I'm going to add the singer prototype. So you see I've got singer here, and right now I'm not scheduled to present anywhere or sing anywhere. So now let's say I drag me onto the schedule, and I'm going to be venue 2, slot 3. And you'll see venue 2, slot 3. Now let me create another one of me. And let me say I'm going to also sing on this session. So now I'm venue 3, slot 6. And let me create one for Mark Bernstein as well. So let's create another note for Mark. Okay, and you can see we want to now, let's say, have Mark sing there. So you'll see we're able to kind of start programming the event. We know where people are going to be. Now look at this. Let's say I want to move and I want to change. Now let's move me over here. So I'm now moved from slot 9, venue 1. Now let's reschedule and put me over here. I'm now in venue 3, or slot 3, venue 4. So you see this is a really great way both to visually see are all of your sessions organized, and as well as you're now creating attributes that will allow to be able to search. Okay, now we can show the last part of Mark's demonstrations, and that's where he created an agent, and we want to have the agent go out and find that person. So let's say prototype equals singers, and name.I contains. So this is going to find all of these people that are singers and has the name Becker. So we're going to go ahead and find that, and we'll let the query run, and you'll see it immediately found 3 people that meet the criteria. It looks like I have Bernstein's on there as well. So that's interesting. So now we know that we did our query wrong. So let's go ahead and add this quote, and we will add the agent query. And so this is the way you can see how to modify this. So I said, find all the singers, find all the people that have that are Becker. There's no and or statement in here. So if I just want to get an and, we'll say this. And now when we rerun the query, it will rerun. And it's just going to find those two results, that where it's both Singer and me, my name. And then the last piece that Mark showed was be able to show us how to show some quantification here. So we can go ahead and add a table to the agent query display, and we can say venue and have it display the venue element. And we can add another one, and it will say, let's say slot, and we'll have slot. Now, so you see I'm singing in venue 3, slot 6, and let's spell slot properly. Sorry about that. Okay, so I'm in venue 3, slot 6, and I'm in venue 2, slot 3, and you can sort them and organize them as well. Now, Mark also had in his demo some arbitrary stuff that he was making up, where he was showing that, you know, the calculate the amount of time that was someone speaking, and he was just saying like you can add 10 minutes to this or that. So let me show you a different way to do it other than the way Mark did it in the demonstration, which I think is kind of fun. So we can go ahead here, and I'm going to open up the document inspector. Now look what I'm going to do here. I'm going to go to the note, and I'm going to say create an edict for this note, and let's say subtitle equals time equals, let's put this total time. Total, sorry, I'm not spelling right. Total time plus, and now what we want to do is calculate the amount of time I'm going to be singing based on my two activities. So we can say child count. So there's two times I'm speaking on the agenda times 10 minutes. Okay, and then we want to add a minute element here too. So we'll go space, quote, add a space, type the word minute. Okay, and so now what we're going to do is have the subtitle of the note equal, say, total time, and then calculating the number of minutes that I'll be speaking in the show. So we'll go like this, and you'll see right immediately it did it, and I'll give myself my name on the agent. And so now, voila, we now know Michael Becker is going to be singing for a total of 20 minutes in the program, and he's in venue 3 and venue 2 and slot 6 and 3. So that is deconstructing the planning training that Mark provided us in his glorious video. And it really shows the power of Tinderbox and everything you can do with it. And in this demo, we demonstrated to you planning, we demonstrated agents, we demonstrated action code, we demonstrated queries, we demonstrated agent actions, the use of adornments, the use of adornments overlaying on top of each other. There's just a lot here to unpack, and I hope you get some value out of it. Thank you very much. Please be sure to like this video, subscribe to the video, and reach out and connect with me on LinkedIn. Thanks a lot. Bye.